it's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I'm here again next day. Today is May the 10th. It is Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. And I am here with one of my normal Wednesday videos. So I've got some WIPs to talk about since I haven't done a necessarily a WIP update, my words, since like April 20th, I think. Yeah, that was the last time I did a WIP update. So I've got WIPs to talk about, but most of this, if I'm honest, is going to be knitting and books. And the reason for that is that I have stitched a ton since my last WIP update, but most of it has gone to Stitch Maynia. So what I'm showing you today is pretty much everything outside of either my birthday sal or Stitch Maynia. Yesterday I talked about the birthday sal. Today I'm talking about WIPs and other things. Tomorrow, I'm hoping, I'm going to come back and do my Mania Week 1 wrap up so I can talk about what I did for the first week of Stitch Maynia. But today is everything that's not either of those two. So yeah, a few things to talk about. I'm not going to make any grand statements about how long this is going to be because we all know how that turns out. But a few things to talk about. I have some questions, but I have one question with relation to stitching, and that I'm going to save for the Mania video because it's relevant to Mania. And then I have a couple of questions with knitting, so I think I'm going to add those questions in with the knitting, and we will go from there. So let's get started talking about some stitching things, shall we? The first thing that I want to talk about is this new sort of way that I am developing my rotation. My rotation is still up in the air specifically, but it's based on this. So I've been thinking about my projects and when I started them. And I have spreadsheets and all sorts of things organizing everything. But I was curious about when I started things. So what I did was I'm going to pull up the April one. So I created a grid, and in the background you can barely see, it's very light font, is the days of the month. And I went all the way to 31 and just printed out 12 of these rather than customizing it. The other thing about this is that there's no days of the week because that wasn't relevant to me. What was relevant was just the dates. So for instance, on April 1st, I think that was 2016. I don't know for sure. No, that was 2015. April 1st, 2015, I started Not Quite White Work by Northern Expressions Needlework. And so you see that there. April 16th of this year, I started my Mirabilia Stargazer. So I've got them all listed here basically on their birthdays, so to speak. Okay, so let me pull up another one. I'll save that one for last because that one's fun. Okay, so here's June. And as you can see, I haven't started a whole lot over the years in June. These are just active WIPs, by the way. They're not projects that I've finished as of late. So, okay. So in June, on June 1st of last year, I started June by the Cricut Collection. Now you see that that one's kind of highlighted over with orange. That's because that's a Year of WIPs project. So when I go to look at June and try to decide what projects I'm going to work on this June, I know that I'm definitely going to pull that one out because I started it in June of last year, and so I just thought it might be fun to work on it during its birth month. You can clearly tell I had birthdays on the brain. Let's see. On the 22nd of June last year, I started Nantucket Rose by Lavender and Lace, but that's not a Year of WIPs piece. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to work on these non-Year of WIPs pieces, especially in months where I don't have but one Year of WIPs project, or if I'm going to take the opportunity to use other projects during this month. Don't know. So this is June. July has a few starts in it from last year's Crazy 7. And there's also 4 Year of WIPs projects that I started in July. Here's August. And August has this one here, where I started 2 projects on the same day. That's interesting because Elephants I started in 2015, and Double Double by Prairie Schooler I started in, oh wait, never mind. That says Flowering Flourish. I can't read. I started both of those on the, what date is that? The 12th of August last year. I think that was the Stitch Maynia Summer Olympics event. Yeah, that's what that was. Anyway, so I was just kind of curious to see what the year looks like as far as starts. And I have an average of about 2 to 6 starts a month. And then we get to the lovely month of May. And this thing is full. It is super full. Now, the 6th through today I haven't filled in yet, but I am adding in as I start a project. So, on the 6th, what did I start on the 6th? On the 6th, wouldn't you know it, I don't remember. What day was that? Where did I start on the 6th, you guys? Joan Elliott's Once Upon a Time. Okay, sorry. On the 7th, I started those 2 Cooler Design Studio projects. On the 8th, I started Seaside Kingdom. On the 10th, today, I start Alice in a Dolly Dream by Heaven and Earth Designs. So, when Mania is done this year, I will have 2 empty spots. Just 2 in May. The 20th and the 27th. I don't have any starts planned. I thought it might be fun to just put something in there just to have a full month of May, but I'm not going to do that because that's kind of ridiculous. May the 22nd. I already have 2 projects here and I'm supposedly adding 2 this year. Thanks, Katie. Your birthday is blowing up my calendar. I am out of space. I don't know what I'm going to do. Typical. So I just thought that this was fun. So I used this to decide what my focus pieces are for the month of May. And I'm going to talk further about that here in a minute. So yeah, there's that. I just thought that I might show that to you. It's just kind of pretty, and I like to be able to see this. Ooh, September. September was a busy month. Yeah, I'll be able to work on pretty much whatever I want in September. Anyway, so there's that. I like to track things and I kind of like to see where my focus is. And outside of May, I think the summertime is my busiest time for starting projects. So anyway, I thought that was fun. Okay, so let's get started talking about some other things. Let me go ahead and pull up my notes because I do have some notes here, although I don't know why. Okay, so there's really only one work in progress that I showed you last time that I have any progress on, and I showed it to you yesterday, but I'll go ahead and show it again. So the last I spoke to you, I was working on one of my April Focus for Finished pieces, and that was the Scotland Santa by Mill Hill. And I'll go ahead and insert a preview of what it looked like in that last video. To be honest, yesterday I totally forgot that I had talked about this in a video. But anyway, so this is what the thing looks like finished. And you will have seen what it looked like last time. And here's what it looks like now. So it's all done. I do still have to trim him out all the way and fully finish him, but he is done. And I finished him on the 29th, April 29th. So yeah, there's that. I like the long back stitch for the wraps on his boots. Let's see what else. I gotta tell you, this one kind of annoyed me a little bit, if I'm honest. There are quite a few colors of beads, and like some of them you only use like 5 or 6 of them, and that's kind of annoying. Like, we couldn't have streamlined that a little bit. I don't know. I mean, he's gorgeous, and I really like him finished up, but I just felt the like that many colors of beads was a little unnecessary. Anyway, okay, so the reason that I know that I finished that on the 29th is that on the 29th I was participating in a 24-hour readathon. And I'll talk more about the book aspect of that here in a little bit. But I didn't do all 24 hours. But I did spend a lot of time listening to an audiobook so that I could craft at the same time, because I knew that I was not going to be able to read for any serious extended amount of time. So I took a bunch of Millhill kits with me because I went to go stay at my mom's, so I wasn't going to have my setup, so I just thought, simplify it, I'll just do something that I can stitch in hand, and we'll be good to go. So I finished up Scotland Santa on Saturday, and then I took a break to actually read something, and then I went back to my audiobook and pulled out another Millhill kit. And so this one is from the Charmed Santa Face collection, and this is Saint Nick. And you'll be seeing a preview here of what this looked like the last time you saw it. It's been a really long time since I worked on this. So I didn't have a whole lot done at the time, but now he is all but finished. I just gotta fix what's going on here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so here's part 1. And here's part 2. So I need to figure out how on earth to attach the hat to the... I love that they left his head bald. That's just so cute. So I have to figure out how to attach the two together. But yeah, got that one finished up, and I finished this one on the next day on Sunday because it's a lot of white beads. And they don't fit perfectly, but I think it's okay that they don't fit perfectly. I mean, you know, it's supposed to be his mustache and his bushy eyebrows, so, like, we can't depend on facial hair cooperating all the time necessarily. So I'm down with it. It's all good. I really love the hat. I love the beads, especially in the brim of the hat. That's really pretty. And these green beads, they're kind of multicolored, so they've kind of got some purple tones, which I think are just gorgeous. So I really liked that. It also has this little charm that's attached. It's kind of the right side of it is textured. So there's that. So these two were my only 2 finishes for the month of April. They were finishes number 8 and 9 for me for 2017 so far. So I'm doing pretty good. Scotland Santa was my next Year of WIPs finish, and I can't remember which number that was. But I'm almost at halfway on my Year of WIPs. So feeling pretty good about that. I didn't get to Pumpkin Patch Farm Sampler like I wanted to, but that's okay. No worries. Okay, so those are all finished up. Okay, what else have I worked on? I knew that Mania was starting on the 1st, and normally I get my my stitch-alongs out of the way first thing at the very beginning of the month, so that they're not hanging over my head. But with Mania, I didn't feel like balancing those 2 projects, my Fantasy Saw by Lakeside Needlecraft and Doreen Jones, and the Birthstone Dragon Sail by Brittany of Ingleside Imaginarium. I didn't want to have to juggle those 2 along with my Mania. It was too chaotic. So I decided to hold off on those since my Mania is not going the full month this year. I will have like 10 days, give or take, after the end of Mania to be able to knock those out. So I'm not so worried about not getting to them just yet. And in fact, well, I'll talk about that in a second. So I was starting to think about my goals for the month of May. And I did that calendar and had a look at my Mania starts for the month, or my year of WIPs that I have started during the month of May over the years. And I'll pull it back out so that you can see it. If I can find it here quickly. There it is. Okay. So I have a few that are highlighted here. The Heron by Leslie Tier. I'll talk about that in a second. Darth Vader Sugar Skull by Stitch Line. Elizabeth by Glendon Place. And Lily of the Valley by Cottage Garden Samplings. Now that is an addendum. My year of WIPs has changed. The Stony Creek Violet, which is also supposed to come up in my Mania plans this year. I have since decided to put that in the UFO pile permanently, so I'm going to tear out those stitches and use that fabric for something else. Because I don't love that design. I don't love the design series. I started it for the sake of a start in a category last year for Mania, and that fabric can be put to good use in this other floral monthly series that I really, really do enjoy. So I decided to replace Violet with a different project for Year of WIPs that's also similar in size and theme. And so what we have here is Lily of the Valley by Cottage Garden Samplings. So that is my new Year of WIPs piece. Okay, so my rotation as the months have gone by is pretty standard. Week 1 has been Sal's. Week 2 has been Heaven and Earth Designs. Week 3 has been a Year of WIPs piece. Week 4 has been this roller coaster of emotions, basically. It's just whatever I want. And so I went and tackled my focuses for the month of May based on that general theory of a rotation. And so for Heaven and Earth Designs week, I'm going to focus on Faces of Fairy 201 by Heaven and Earth Designs because I started that during May, and the theme for the month is Mania, and I started it for Mania last year, so it just kind of all fits. So that's my Heaven and Earth Design focus for the month. Then, knowing that Mania is taking over the month of May, I picked 2 of these that I'm going to focus on during May and try to get finished. So I'm going to try to get the Darth Vader Sugar Skull finished this month, as well as the Lily of the Valley by Cottage Garden Samplings. Elizabeth by Glendon Place, I just have too much left to do on that. I don't think that I have enough time to get it done. And the same is true for the Heron by Leslie Tier. With the limited time available in the month of May, I just don't see it happening. So I'm going to focus on those 3 this month. I also have, there's also this month the Tour de Designers for Stitch Maynia for the Facebook group Stitch Maynia is Mill Hill. And so I also pulled a Mill Hill kit, Snowy Owl Snowman, that I'm going to work on this month. I'm not going to say that I'm going to get it finished. It's just as and when I feel like working on it. To be honest, I'm a little burnt out on the Mill Hill kits. Of course, I would finish 2 Mill Hill kits before the Mill Hill Tour de Designers, but whatever. It's just timing. So I'll try to put a little progress in that, and I'll show you where I'm starting from here in just a second. So, knowing all of this, knowing that I have limited amount of time, gosh, this is quite a talk here for just a WIP that's coming up. Knowing that I have limited amount of time, I wanted to get a head start on that Faces of Fairy 201 by Heaven and Earth Designs, because I really like this getting a page finish a month. It's making me feel pretty confident about finishing some hates and letting myself have the Heaven and Earth Design starts that I'm having these days. So, Faces of Fairy 201. this is what the design will look like finished. And I have worked on this for Mania, but not a ton, and I'm comfortable with showing it, so say what you will. So I've done only about 600 stitches on this. I talked about this yesterday, but I am in the process of assigning needle minders to projects. So this one gets the Scream by, this is from No Name Needle Minders, the lovely Kate. This goth girl with a flower skeleton lady Victorian looking cameo. I need a name for that. It's from Jeannie's Unique Boutique, and this teeny tiny little purple flower was a gift from Carolina. So I was starting on page 2 for this project, or for this WIP this month. So I've done the first 3 diagonals of page 2. Let me take down those threads so that you can actually see what's going on there. So there's some hair coming in, and I'm finishing out the crown. My next diagonal will finish up the crown entirely. So yeah. I haven't worked on this. My plan was to do 200 stitches every day. Obviously today is the 10th. I don't have 20 blocks done, but I am okay with that because I can't put in a whole lot of time on this because my focus is on Mania. So I'm okay with 600 stitches so far, and we'll just see where I get to. If I don't get the page done this month, that's fine by me. I'm not too worried about it. So there's that. And my fabric is a 25 count Lugana from Zweigart High Stitch Habit and Art Designs 1/1. Okay. The next one that I told you that I was working on is the Darth Vader Sugar Skull by Stitch Line. And there will be a preview here of what this will look like finished. I am stitching this on a 32 count Belfast in Stormy Clouds, Vintage Stormy Clouds by Zweigart, using DMC 3799. The progress that you're going to see here, preview of what it looked like before, the progress you're going to see here was from my Mania day, but again, I'm comfortable showing it, and I'll show it again tomorrow, and it'll be fine, and I'll be redundant, but whatever. So yeah, I made some pretty good progress on the 5th. Basically, I wanted to get the eyeball done, and so I did that. I got the eyeball done, a little bit of extras over here, and some over here. And I flippin' love this. So much fun. So I can't wait to be able to sink my teeth in and spend some good time on this. It's going to take a few days because this is kind of a large project. It's not tiny by any means, but it is only one color, and it's a lot of fun. So there's that. Okay, and then last but not least, from that list outside of plans, so these are things that I have been working on, is the Cottage Garden Samplings Maze Lily of the Valley. And so that is what this will look like finished. And I have worked on this. Here's the needle minder. It's a pink flower that I got from Julie at Nifty Needle Mayonnaise. So there's that. And this I'm stitching on 32 count Belfast in Platinum from Zweigart. You've been seeing a preview here of what this looked like before I started stitching on it. I have put in a couple days on this, and I'm just obsessed. I love stitching on this. It's crazy to say because it's so little and it's so outside my comfort zone. It's not outside my comfort zone, but it's just, it's sweet, it's cute, it's pretty. And I stitch an awful lot of dark things, but this is just, I don't know. I'm just having a blast with it. So that's where I've got to. So I worked on, let me see, this border here, these little blue flowers in here, some of these in here. I finished out the lilies over here and stitched this the little leaf, the smaller one. Oh, and I worked on some border up top. So yeah, so this is going to take a couple more days to finish up. I am using all of the called for threads. There are some DMCs and some Gentle Art sampler threads. Having a blast with that. That fabric is so good. Annette from Annette's Acre. I totally get it. I totally get it. It's wonderful. So there is that. Okay, so let's sort of transition into plans. So these are other projects that I'm going to work on this month that I haven't necessarily talked about yet. And that I haven't worked on yet, I should say. I've talked about just about everything. The first is the Snowy Owl Snowman. No, beads just fell out. That's fine. This is by Mill Hill Jim Shore. And oh, I got a long ways to go on this one. And that's where I'm at. So lots left to do on this project. But that's okay. Again, if I don't get it done, it's not an emergency. I'll put in some time here. Maybe I'll try to do like 30 minutes or something every day just to make some progress on it. Maybe I'll do that. That sounds like a good plan, Jess. Okay. So there's that. Okay. So with regards to my cells, I'm already feeling like this month is flying. I feel like any minute now I'm going to wake up and it's going to be June already. Because I'm thinking of outside of Mania, and once Mania is done, there's not a whole lot of time left in the month. So I have been thinking ahead to June, and in June we've got the Stitch Maynia Whine and Whips stitch along. So these are the projects that you whine about. And one of the projects that I whine about the most is the Fantasy Style by Lakeside Needlecraft and Doreen Jones. So what I think that I'm going to do, just to optimize my time, and since getting to all of this in and of itself is going to be enough, I'm going to save the dragon block for May for June. And I'll just do those 2 blocks in June. And I think that I'm okay with that. So then, my Birthstone Dragon Cell. Originally, I was going to save this for June as well. But the dragon for this month is the emerald, and it's a dragonfly. So it's really little. It's not very big. Some people have, most people have stitched it up in a day or so. So I am comfortable adding this to the pile. So I'm just going to show you here what mine currently looks like. This is, as I said, Birthstone Dragons by Ingleside Imaginarium. This is the cover page from April. So the emerald dragonfly will go in there. And I'm stitching this on a 32 count Belfast in Sparkling Diamonds, from Crafty Kitten Fabrics. And so that's where I currently stand with this. I need to work on some border, and I've got some figuring to do with the gemstone because my gemstones are pretty consistent throughout. But this one is charted so that the gemstone looks really big, so that our little dragon guy looks really small. So I'm going to have to do some figuring. We'll see what happens. I saw that somebody had stitched it over 1 just to emphasize that it was really small, and I thought that was so cute. I'm not doing that, but it's very cute. So that's it for sort of what I've worked on and my plans for the rest of the month. After Mania, things are going to calm down, and I'm not going to have to explain so much anymore. So that's it for the projects. Shall we switch over to some stash acquisitions? Let's do it. So I have 1 chart, some needle minders, and a needle minder unboxing. So let's go ahead and start with the chart. I actually didn't buy this chart. This was a this was a part of the Heaven and Earth Designs birthday club. I bought my birthday club some point last year and sent an email on my birthday and said, hey, Michelle, this is the one that I want. And then within a couple hours, she sent it to me. And so this is going to come as a bit of a surprise. But I got City of Wands by Ciro Marchetti, or Marchetti, I'm not entirely sure. And, okay, so here's what happened. We're getting down to the wire on my birthday, and I'm like, I gotta email Michelle. It's my birthday, I gotta do this now. So I pulled up my wish list, and I pulled a couple of the ones that are on my wish list that I really want. I pulled up Toil by Melanie Dellin and Identity by Linda Ravenscroft. Those two, for whatever reason, are ticking all of the boxes for me. And then I said, Danny, will you look through my wish list here and pull up one that you kind of like? And he pulled up City of Wands. I'm like, okay. So now I'm going to go to random number generator. And I random number generated and it pulled City of Wands. And I saw somewhere recently where somebody said, if you hit random number generator on something and it draws something and you don't like what it drew, then you obviously didn't want that one. Well, it pulled that, and at first I was like, I really don't want this one. But I do really want it. It's been on my wish list forever. I call my wish list all the time, and this one always sticks out to me. And it's fantasy. I'm concerned that Toil is too dark. So I was like, whatever. I'm going to do City of Wands. I don't have any intentions of starting any of these, regardless of which one I pick anytime soon, so c'est la vie. So I picked City of Wands, and during this whole spiel, you will have seen a preview of what it looks like. It's beautiful. It's going to be gorgeous, but I don't know when I'm going to start it. I got head crazy coming out of my ears these days. So there's that. Okay, next is some needle minders. I placed an order with Nifty Needle Nannies, and then I ordered some more and then added more because I just can't stop. And this is also going to include some gifts that I received. So I'll show you each. So we have this sword that says it has the it's Outlander inspired. I can't remember what it says. Does it say Je suis presse? Yes, it does, but it's backwards. So it says Je suis presse, or pressed, or however you actually pronounce it. It's Jamie's clan's words. I can't remember what it means, but anyway. So, gosh, this is a really great story. So it's Outlander inspired. It's a sword. This was a beautiful birthday gift. And this is going directly on a project that I'm starting in July, because I think Ozzy Stitcher and I are going to do a Joan Elliott July, and I'm going to be starting the Ladybird Fairy. And so this was a birthday gift from Belinda to go on my Ladybird Fairy. So thank you so much, Belinda. I absolutely love it. So cute. Ugh, love that. Okay, I have a couple of these needle minders that I got in this order that are on projects currently. They're on Mania starts, and so I'll make mention of those during my Mania recap video, but I don't have them here with me. Okay, let's do this one next. Next we have a couple of clay minders, the hot Starbucks mug, because even in summertime I'm drinking the hot stuff from Starbucks. And another clay elephant, because there's no such thing as too many clay elephants. Such a cutie. So there's that. And then next we have a Russian and 3 Star Wars characters. That sounds like a band. So I'm a Matryoshka doll, Russian nesting doll, and then these two are Hello Kitty inspired Stormtrooper, C-3PO, and then the Princess Leia being all resisting and rebellious. And so I was looking for some Star Wars needle minders for my Sugar Skull series, but she was out of the Darth Vader one, so I got Leia because Leia's Vader's daughter, so like put that on there. And since she's leading the rebellion, and since that project's almost done anyway, I figured it'd work. So there's that. And I absolutely love this mint color and Russian nesting dolls. So cute. So I do have a couple others, like I said, so I'll show you those later. Okay. Let's get to the unpackaging. I placed a needle minder order with Brenda's Minders and More. And I have been talking about ordering from her forever, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Because as I said, I've been doing this where I am putting minders on, I'm assigning them to projects. So, oop, what was that? Where did your back go? Is it stuck? It's stuck. Okay. Okay, so I got some cool things here. All right. So here's the first one. I love doing these unpackagings because I forget what I ordered. This appears to be my black and white card. So this one, it says you're never too old for a fairy tale. Those should be words for me to live by. It's on a scroll. We have this that kind of looks like a plague doctor mask. We have this goblet, but it's ghosty. That's so cute. And a pearl owl. So pretty. Okay, what else have we got? Ooh, fun stuff. Oh, thank you, Brenda. I don't think I ordered that. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't think so. It's so fun. Okay, so we have another of the cabochon sparkly ones. I have a skeleton and the autumn one. I absolutely love these cabochons. Those are fun. And a fairy door, which is so pretty. And then this cool blue sparkly pendant-y guy. Very cute. So, yeah, I got needle minders coming out of my ears, along with Heaven and Earth design, so I guess it's fitting. So, yeah. Most of these have projects in mind. Some of them don't, if I'm honest. But that's okay. All right. So, that's it for these stash acquisitions. And that kind of concludes everything Stitchy-wise. So I'm going to move into some extraneous topics. So if you are leaving me here, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you later, hopefully tomorrow, fingers crossed tomorrow, with my Mania stuff. If you're here for the rest of the stuff, then tuck in. We've got a few things to talk about. I'm going to seal this up here. Okay, so let's talk about books. As I mentioned, on April 29th, I participated in the 24-hour readathon. I went to go stay at my mom's place because they were traveling, so I could have the whole house to myself. I didn't have husband or dog distractions, and I could stay up as late as I want and just read in peace and quiet. It was pretty wonderful. Before that started, though, I had started a book, and I haven't finished it yet, because it's one of those books that I have to be emotionally prepared to handle. And it is a Jodi Picoult, because of course. And it is The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult. And essentially, I'm not going to read the back because it's lengthy. Essentially, what this is about is a girl in her mid-20s, and she is dealing with some grief, and she meets a man named Joseph Weber. And Joseph Weber is in his 90s, and they become friends, and then Joseph says to this girl named Sage, says to Sage, listen, I want you to kill me. And the reason I want you to kill me is because I can't die. I am struggling with my actions as an ex-SS. And so he was a Nazi soldier during World War II, responsible for the deaths of millions. And he has been trying to die, and he can't do it himself. He's found himself in situations where he should have died and hasn't. He wants her to kill him. What they're not mentioned, what he doesn't know is that she is the granddaughter of an Auschwitz survivor. So, yeah. Highly emotional, as you might be able to tell. This is intense. And if The Color Purple was really relevant, this is really relevant. There are a couple of pages here where I read it and I had to put the book down because the similarities to what is going on in modern day United States compared to this book, it's downright terrifying, if I'm honest. What do you know? I accidentally opened up to the right page. If you have this book, read page 112. Jodi Picoult wrote this book in 2013, and it is timely. I mean, it's timely because it's 4 years old at this point, but it's still, some of the words in here are so pertinent to today that I wish that this was nationally required reading. I won't go much further into that, but I mean, beyond the political relevance, it's good. I mean, it's kind of a little ridiculous in some essence of the word. I mean, this guy wants to die, and so he asks a 24-year-old to kill him. It's a little much of a stretch, but I could semi-understand why that would be such a struggle, because she is the granddaughter of an Auschwitz survivor. But there's this whole other layer of her sort of muddling through her religion and understanding her religion, because she was raised Jewish, but she doesn't identify as being Jewish. And she's dealing with some sort of level of grief and self-acceptance of her own. So, anyway, it's interesting, it's really good, but it's hard for me to read for lengthy periods of time because it feels like I'm getting kicked in the chest sometimes when I'm reading it. But it's good so far. So, this is also my first Jodi Picoult. Fun fact. Anyway, so there's that. Okay. Next are the 2 books that I read during the readathon. I took this great big huge TBR pile with me. It was an insane number of books, but I just wanted to have options just to make sure I had choices. And I ended up reading 2 books. So the first, I read cover to cover in the span of a couple hours. This was intense, and it was good, and it was really excellent for readathon. If you're trying to read a book real fast, for whatever reason, this is good. This is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This is young adult, and yeah, it was really fast. It is, so it's a mystery. I'm going to read you the back because it's totally cryptic. We are Sinclairs. No one is needy, no one is wrong. We live, at least in the summertime, on a private island off the coast of Massachusetts. Perhaps that's all you need to know, except that some of us are liars. So, it's told in the perspective of a girl. Well, let me read the inside of the inside flap. It says, a beautiful and distinguished family, a private island, a brilliant, damaged girl, a passionate political boy, A group of 4 friends, the Liars, whose friendship turns destructive. A revolution, an accident, a secret. Lies upon lies. True love, the truth. So it's about this family, and they are very wealthy. They own an island. And on this island, these 3 kids, they're cousins, but they're really close friends. And then one of the cousins has a stepbrother. And so they all sort of get together and hang out in the summertime on this private island where each of 4 families has their own McMansion. And they're teenagers and they grow up together and they cause mayhem, and then something happens. And one of the girls has a fuddled memory about a summertime incident and then deals with these totally crippling migraines to the point where they like totally put her in bed essentially for days on end. And she's trying to work through what happened. What happened to her head, and why is she dealing with this? And she's dealing with maybe some short-term, long-term memory loss. And so it's just about her trying to figure out what the hell is going on. In the meantime, it's a really wealthy family, but not without their own drama. So it's really fast-paced. I guessed the ending about 60% of the way through, and there's one page in this book that I would tear out if I could, because I am a dog lover, and I was very disappointed. So I rated it 4 stars because I guessed the ending and because of that page, but it was a really fast read, and I liked it. I liked the mystery aspect of it. If you are not like me trying to guess the ending, then this is really great. It's written kind of weird. Some people have qualms about the way that it's written. I mean, I read you that inside flap, and that's kind of how parts of the book are. But it's good. So check it out if you're interested. Okay. The next book that I read, I listened to this on audiobook. And when I started out this year, I wanted to knock out some series. So there are some series that I started over the years, but I haven't finished. I have series finishing syndrome, or continuation even. So there's a couple, most notably, and this is going to shock some of you, I haven't read the 3rd book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. Part of that is reservation. I don't want that story to be over yet, so I'm just taking my time with it. I haven't read the final book in the Alexandra Bracken Darkest Minds series. I haven't read the last book in the Chemical Garden trilogy by Lauren DeStefano. I'm really bad at series. So this year, I want to get some of those series finished up. And one of those is the Delirium trilogy by Lauren Oliver. And this is the 2nd book in the trilogy. Now, I have read this already, but it's been years since I read it. And so I wanted to listen to the audiobook to refresh my memory on the events of what happened in this so that I can get set to read the 3rd book, which is called Requiem. And the audiobook for this is narrated by Sarah Drew. If you have watched Grey's Anatomy, you will know who Sarah Drew is. She plays April Kepner. And I was like losing my mind. I was so excited because I really like Sarah Drew. Now, her voice is kind of high-pitched, and so I have to listen to this book on normal speed, because when you take a high-pitched and you speed it up, it sounds like, I don't know, sounds like the Chipmunks. It's not a good way to listen to a book. So I had to listen to it on normal speed, so it took me a long time to get through it. It was like a 9-hour audiobook. 10 hours, actually. But it was good. It was good to listen to. I didn't like the book the first time I read it. I still have the same feelings about it as I did back then. It's one of those books that I think suffered from second book syndrome, which is that, generally speaking, and this is definitely, it's definitely more prevalent when these books were written. If you have a trilogy, and particularly these dystopian trilogies in young adult fiction, you have the first book, which sets the world up and it gets you introduced to the characters, and you have the third book where the tyrannical government is overthrown and resolution. And to get from A to C, you have book B, and book B, generally speaking, becomes this filler, and it's not as much fun. It's not a good ride. You're not being introduced to anything. There's usually twists and turns thrown into book 2, but that's just to keep the plot line rolling. It doesn't really serve a purpose. Book 2s are, generally speaking, just, hence the reason they call it second book syndrome. So this has some taste of second book syndrome. It also introduces a love triangle, which drives me up a wall. But it wasn't terrible. So I read this. I actually didn't finish it that day because I didn't even try to read for 24 hours. I finished it up the next day, though. So there's that, and I'll read Requiem at some point. I did my draws from the TBR jar for May a long time ago, but I didn't film it, and I don't remember what they are, so I'm not going to talk about that today. I totally forgot to prepare that, so sorry. Okay, so next we're going to switch over and talk about knitting, and I'm going to try to be brief with knitting, but knitting has definitely amped up as of late. Okay, so first, I'm going to address the couple of questions that I had with regards to knitting. First of all, thank you everybody so much. I received a lot of people who reached out and asked me if I would mail them my sock and they would put it back on the needles for me. Thank you guys so much for that. That's the generosity of knitters and crafters in general, but I'm seeing it a lot with knitters most recently. The generosity is outstanding. It is out of this world, and just thank you for that. I have already ripped out all of the yarn. I've rewound it, and I'm going to cast on and try a sock again. I've also received a lot of suggestions for the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and I'm going to do that. I will do a straight up vanilla sock in the Fish Lips Kiss Heel and get through a sock. And then I'm going to go back to that yarn, that Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock at the ballet colorway, and knit some shorties. And we'll be good to go. I will figure out this sock knitting. I'm not giving up on it. It's on the side table right now because my shawl obsession, this is peak shawl season. And I'll explain why here in just a second. But the first thing that I wanted to do was to finish my Ashburn shawl. And I did. So, I mean, it's been a while since you've seen this, so I should have finished it. But it was the only thing that I've been working on lately, and so I had to get it off the needles. Now, I haven't woven in the ends, and I haven't blocked it yet, because I just wanted to get it done. So, once again, I am amazed and in love with the purple. That's so good. Okay, so here is the progress keeper from where I was last time. And I basically had another small section of the eggplant, and then a larger section of the eggplant, and then the end. And just a recap, I knit this shawl out of Malabrio sock in 3 colorways. Lettuce is the green, ochre is the golden yellow, and then eggplant is the purple that looks black in every other lighting except on camera. I did the picot bind off, but I changed it a little bit. This is really the only modification that I made. The pattern, which is by Melanie Berg, Ashburn Shawl by Melanie Berg, the pattern calls for every 6 stitches to do a picot. I did every 7. give or take. Sometimes I think I might have gone even 8 stitches just because I wasn't counting. Like that one. It looks like a lot of stitches there. But I didn't want as many picots, and if I'm honest, I don't like picot bind off, so I didn't want to do as much. But I got it done. It took me a good couple hours to get through that bind off because I had 225 stitches on the needles at the time. So this shawl, oh, I got some crazy long ends, is asymmetrical. And it is going to block out so beautifully. I can't wait to do that. I was going to do that before recording, but I didn't get to it first thing this morning, so, but yeah, there's that. Final yardage count, 896 yards of yarn. And I was going to knit a heck of a lot more on this last section just to use up the yarn, but I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm ready to be done. So I finished it up as the pattern said. And I still think that the eggplant is my favorite section. I just love that. I love those two colors together. I just wish that I saw purple in real life. I swear, it looks like a dark gray, leaning black. DMC $37.99. That's what this looks like to me in real life. Anyway, so I will get that those ends woven in, and I'll get it blocked, and I will wear it afterward. Let me see. Here is my cake. So I have some yarn that I could possibly, I could do things with this yarn. Something else, but I need a break from the Malabrigo sock. Malabrigo sock is 100% superwash merino, and I needed something squishier. Okay, so I posted on Instagram that I was participating in the Shawl Society too. Now, the Shawl Society is put out by Curious Handmade, who is Helen Stewart, and last year she ran the Shawl Society #1, version 1. It's basically 6 months of shawls, and you get a new shawl pattern every month, and it's a community event. There's a bunch of people participating. There's all sorts of ways to modify it, make it your own. It's really cool. And last year I never got my butt in gear to participate and to actually knit along with everybody. So this year I was like, you know what? If I'm going to sign up for Shawl Society 2, then I'm going to knit immediately. And I'm going to try to do all 6 months because I'm crazy like that. So, Bunny just ran past my house. It just so happened that I was watching a knitting podcast, and I was watching the Yarngasm podcast, which is hosted by Kristen. She is also responsible for Volan Vine Yarns. And so she was talking about an upcoming knit along that she was hosting, or that she was co-hosting, which is the Mauve Along, or Mauve Along, depending on how you pronounce it, because one of her favorite colors is mauve. And mauve is one of those colors that's kind of hard to describe. It's like a dusty, brown, pinky, purpley color. It's like, it's up for interpretation, basically, is one of those colors. In addition to that, she's also hosting a Curious Handmade Along. Now, the Curious Handmade Along ends June 1st. The Mauve Along ends July 1st. So I thought, let me put them together. And so I did. So I am knitting the very first of Shawl Society 2, and it is called Fairy Hill. I don't have any preview images because it's still meant to maintain this air of secrecy. And so if you're not in the Shawl Society, you don't get to know what it looks like unless you look at social media and you see the finished ones, but whatever. I am knitting this out of 2 skeins of Dream in Color Smooshy with Cashmere, and this is one of my favorite yarn bases. And so my color A is called Electric Mauve. And my color B, which I haven't quite added in yet, is Gray Tabby. And you can tell that this is an older one because their labels went through a redesign. So, let me show you the yarns. So here is the Electric Mauve, and it looks really berry colored in the ball, as well as, I'll be honest when I'm knitting it, but there are some pops of like quintessential mauve in this. So it qualifies. I don't think I'm going to be able to get the right color to show, but it's like it's a purpley with some really, really dark berry colors that I just love. I love when it gets the dark spots. And then some lighter spots that are more mauvey. And then the Gray Tabby is a bluey gray color, and that's showing up pretty accurately. It's like a steel blue gray. Most people are attacking this shawl with like very light, very fairy colors. Lots of speckles and just light pinks and light grays and light greens. And here I am, I'm getting a little dark and twisty. But whatever, because that's kind of my style. So this shawl, there's two sizes. There's a small and a medium size. And the medium calls for 70 grams of each color. Those skeins come with 100 grams. And then you have the option of beads or no. Well, I was like, sign me up, I want the beads. So having a hard time with beads. I found a color of beads that would have worked really well with the Electric Mauve, but looked real bad with the Gray Tabby. So I picked a color that would work well for both. And so these are check glass beads from Bead Treasures, size 6, and they are silver lined purple. And so that's what they look like, and this is my second tube. I am just about finished up with the first. Oh, heads up, I've been obsessive with this shawl. It started on May 4th, and I think I'm at 40% complete. So we're talking, what, 4 days? 5 days? Yeah, I've been obsessive. I don't knit anything like this, but this yarn is so scrumptious. And the way that Helen Stewart writes her patterns, so much fun. So I'll just go ahead and show you this. This is the progress that I have made. So you can kind of see some of the light and dark spots and how they're playing together in this so far. And this is knit on US size 6 4mm needles. And there's some really great lace detail. Can you see the beads? Yeah, you can see them. So the reason that I went with purple when my yarn is basically purple is that I kind of just wanted it to look like little spots of sparkle on the purple, and then I think the beads will show up really good once I get to the Gray Tabby. At least I hope so. I'm concerned that yarn is too blue. The gray it's just too blue, and so things will clash. But I will address that when I get to it. So there's that. And I think I've got about 15 rows until I add in the gray. This is a crescent shawl, and so there are increases on both sides so that it is very round, very, very round. I just love this. I love this. It is drapey, it swings really well, it's so nice. There are some people that have knit the heck out of this thing and have finished it way faster than me. I wanted to show you this. So you can see here like one of the dark spots, and then underneath it is one of the lighter spots. I love this yarn. So much fun. So I'm going to definitely get this done before June 1st, and I will be ready to go for the second shawl whenever that is announced. Okay. Next, I have something really fun to show you. So I'll just keep working on that, and I'll show it to you. I hope to have it finished by the time I record next. I've only got 50 rows left to go. They're huge. I mean, they're long rows. We get up to, I think I'm going to get up to almost 400 stitches by the end. But yeah, I'm 50 yards or 50 rows. Not bad. Okay, so talked to you guys last time that I received a beautiful gift of the Starting Point Mystery Knit Along by Joji Locatelli on Ravelry for my birthday. And I immediately went shopping for yarn. And so I'm going to show you, I have an absurd amount of yarn here because I had ordered a few skeins to try a color story out, and I didn't end up liking it, so I've ordered a couple others, and okay. Most of this came from Eat Sleep Knit yarn lottery winnings. I had like $85 in store credit to turn in, so that's where most of this came from. Okay, let me think here. How do I want to do this? All right, I'm going to show you the colors that are going to be in my starting point. And yeah, so we'll go from there. And I have to play with the order of them, but here's what we've got. Oh my gosh, this is just so happy to me. So I'm obviously going very fall with mine. A lot of people are going very, very pretty. Again, lots of people thinking spring. I'm thinking I want this in fall because it's going to be huge. It's going to use up most of this. And this is 2,000 yards. So, yeah, okay. All right, so let me walk you through these colors. This one here is Antique Lace, and it's just a neutrally gray-brown, as you might expect. This is one that I didn't know was going to be my favorite, but it really is one of my favorites. This is Glazed Pecan, or Pecan, or I guess that's all of the renditions. Gorgeous honey brown color. This is Composition Book Gray. This is the one that I had a question mark for a long time. You know those composition books? Yeah, it looks like that. And this whole thing came about from these two. So this is Heartbeat. And of course there's dog fur on it because that's my life. It's showing up more pink. It's a really good maroon burgundy color. And then this is an Eat Sleep Knit exclusive. It's called the Fox. Look at that depth of color. Isn't that gorgeous? So all 5 of these are Madeline Tosh Merino Light, which is 100% superwash merino in a singles fingering. And that starts on Friday, so I've got some winding to do. I've got 2,000 yards of yarn to wind. Okay, let me show you some of the other ones that I got just to try some different colors. This is what I thought was going to be my neutral, my lightest color. This is also Tosh Merino Light. All of these are Tosh Merino Light. This is Salt. And you can kind of see that there are some speckles in there, just a bunch of different random colors. Yellow, pink, dark blue, some purple. It's like it's been salted with color. Ever so lightly. But that turned out to be way too white for this. This one, I wasn't sure if it was going to turn out so pink. I thought it might be a little bit more brown. This is called Pink Clay. But it really is, it's more pink. And it does not look good. So, it doesn't look good with my starting point with the other 4 skeins that I had originally. So, but I still think it's beautiful. And then this one here, I don't know. I'm debating between Composition Book Gray and this one because I really, really like this color. This is called Firewood. And I have a mini of this that I'm using in my Pegasus Wings shawl. This is a variegated colorway, and it's firewood. I mean, it's just what you would expect. There's dark, and there's fire colors, and there's wood colors, and it's just gorgeous. So I don't know if that necessarily works. Let me show you these 5 together. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Getting tangled up. There's so much yarn. There's lots of sheepy goodness here. So, I don't know, maybe. I still have to play with it. Maybe I'll cake them up and look at it from that perspective. I'm such a semi-solids kind of girl that it's hard for me to gravitate towards this because it's variegated, whereas these 4 are semi-solid. Maybe I need to step out of my comfort zone a little bit. I gotta tell you, on camera, I really don't like the Fox and Heartbeat together. That's concerning a little bit. Just because Heartbeat looks a little too pink. I'm gonna have to cake this up and play with things, so we shall see. And then one more skein that I got just because I was placing an order on my birthday, and so this is Hedgehog Fibers. This is their Skinny Singles, which is 100% superwash. 100 grams, 366 meters, which is somewhere in the range of 400 yards. And this is Birthday Cake. That's the name of the color. It's called Birthday Cake. It's just this gorgeous purple with all kinds of fun speckles. No idea what I'm going to do with this, but I thought if I'm placing an order on my birthday for yarn, I better get some cake. So, there's that. I thought about putting these 2 together for something. Maybe. That might be really pretty, actually. We'll see. It can also go into my plans for my Find Your Fade because I'm still trying to find my fade. And I've got a lot of singles yarn because I absolutely love singles. It's just a lot of fun to work with. So that's that. I don't have any other yarn purchases incoming. With Eat Sleep Knit, you get these yarn lotto cards, and so you scratch them off, and if you match them, you get whatever you scratched off. So I've had several duds where there's nothing that matches up. I've had quite a few $5 store credits. When I got my most recent yarn order in, I was like, Danny, I want you to scratch these. Let's see if you're better luck. So he scratched the first one, and it was 50 yards towards the yarn-a-thon. And the second one he scratched was $50 of a store credit. I was like, oh my god. I've been doing this yarn-a-thon thing. They've been doing these lotto cards for, what, forever. I've been participating for 4 years now, and I've never seen a $50 one. So I was like, that's cool. So $50. I like it. So we'll see what happens with that. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna keep knitting on my Shawl Society shawls. I'm gonna starting point, which is gonna be a humongous wrap, and I can't wait to start it. I'm all set to go. I've got needles. I just have to wind yarn and make some final decisions. This one, I didn't expect it to bother me so much. It looks so much more magenta on camera. I don't know. Gonna have to play with that. Anyway, so that's pretty much all I've got. 2 things. One, Stitching Joanne asked if I've got interchangeable sets, why do I always talk about how I don't have enough needles? And basically what it boils down to is I need US size 6 for almost everything that I do. And an interchangeable set comes with one set of 6s. So I never have enough. There's no such thing as enough US 6 for a shawl knitter, because I need them for almost everything that I do. I saw in one of Carolina's videos, the one thing that bothers her about knitting is that when you commit a project to a pair of needles, those needles are almost useless to you until you finish the project, and that is so true. The interchangeables are great because I can potentially take off the needle and use it elsewhere, but then I have to have a cable. Like, there's never enough US size 6 needles in a 40-inch cable or longer, because let's face it, that's what I need. So that's really why. It's just US 6 that I'm always short on. And I've gotten a little bit picky about my needles, so there's that. And then the question I'm sure is going to arise if I'm going to be participating in Camp Loopy this year. I have decided not to. Camp Loopy was just announced yesterday. It's a 3-month-long knit-along hosted by the Loopy U, which is another yarn shop that I frequent. I frequent their online shop. I shouldn't make mention of that. Anyway, it's a very popular knitting event, and yeah, I'm not participating this year. I thought I might try to, but I really like what I'm knitting on. And I had this conversation with Danny yesterday, and I was like, I really want to do Camp Loopy. It's like on my knitting bucket list is to complete Camp Loopy one year. But what that means is that for the month of August, I have to go completely knitting monogamous. And I have to go, and basically I can't do much of anything else. I can't really stitch, and I can't really read, at least in the month of August, because the projects for August are 800 yards, at least 800 yards, which is effectively an Ashburn shawl in 31 days. And it took me 5 months to knit this, because I wasn't focused on it. If I had focused on it, I probably could have gotten it done in a month, but it's like 200 yards a week. It's 2 football fields of yarn a week. And it's more stress than I feel like dealing with this year. I really love what I'm knitting right now, and what I'm getting ready to cast on, and my WIPs that I want to get back to, so I don't need Camp Loopy on top of that. So if that question pops up, not now. I'm going to focus on these. I'm going to tackle my socks this year and try to WIP down a little bit. So that's that. Okay, roughly an hour and 15 minutes, at least in this clip. I haven't done that in forever, where I went like a whole long segment. That's pretty crazy. But that's all I've got for you for today. So I just want to thank everybody so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support of my channel, and for your continued support of my hobbies. You guys are the greatest. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow with my Mania Week 1 recap. All right, see you later. Bye.